Hello friends, welcome to today's daily devotion. I'm Kerry Wood at the Goldston Methodist Church in Goldston, North Carolina, and we're winding down our examination of the 14th chapter of Romans, today reading verses 19 through 23 using the Open English Bible translation. Hear now these words. Therefore, our efforts should be directed towards all that makes for peace and the mutual building up of character. Do not undo God's work for the sake of what you eat. Though everything is clean, yet if a person eats so as to put a stumbling block in the way of others, they do wrong. The right course is to abstain from meat or wine or indeed anything that is a stumbling block to your fellow follower of the Lord. As for yourself, keep this conviction of yours to yourself as in the presence of the Lord. Happy the person who never has to condemn themselves in regard to something they think right. The person, however, who has misgivings stands condemned if they still eat, because their doing so is not the result of faith. And anything not done as the result of faith is sin. So I'm going to give you a bit of potentially dangerous disclosure. I am a fan of certain alcoholic beverages consumed in appropriate manners. In other words, I enjoy a glass of wine with my dinner. I am happy to have a cold mug of beer to relax after a busy time or while watching a football game. But I don't grab a beer or a wine and go guzzle it up right before I go to preach. That would be an inappropriate way of imbibing, enjoying something that in other times and places and contexts are perfectly fine. Further disclosure. If I know that I'm going to be with someone who has issues with alcohol, whether it's because they are recovering from alcoholism and they're in a 12-step program and so they are intentionally abstaining, or if I'm with someone who just thinks booze is bad, period, I'm not going to pull out a drink and tell them they're wrong for thinking the way they think. I'm going to choose to live my life in such a way that I don't become the stumbling block to someone else and the way they live their lives. That, I believe, is what Paul is trying to say. Our efforts should be directed towards all that makes for peace and the mutual building up of character. Do not undo God's work for the sake of what you are eating or drinking, or not eating or drinking. I think the key sentence to this whole chapter of Romans 14 is the final sentence that I read today. Anything not done as the result of faith is a sin. The responsibility that we have, each of us, is to act only in faith. My behavior is constrained by faith and released by faith. Faith is expressed by caring about others more than caring about myself. You could say it's altruism over egoism. And ironically, becoming more altruistic boosts how well I feel about myself. Whereas egoism can never be satisfied, and so feeding it only hurts it. To be a peacemaker and a character builder, that's what I want to be. That's what I encourage you to be, not a stumbling block who insists that my opinion, that your opinion is the only relevant one. My friends, the only true opinion that matters is the Lord's opinion. What does God think about my thinking? What does God perceive about my doing? Is it in faith or is it a lack of faith? Provocative, deep stuff this week. Let us not be caught up in being all the things Paul says stop doing. Here at Goldston Methodist Church, we are striving to be the peacemakers and the character builders, and you are welcome to come be a part of what we're doing. If you're anywhere geographically close enough to join us in person, please do so. We are at 185 Hillcrest Avenue in Goldston, North Carolina. We are the rural donut hole surrounded by the urban donut of Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill, of Winston-Salem and Greensboro, of Fayetteville, of Charlotte, although Charlotte is really kind of far away, 2 hours or more. But, we have something worth driving to. This is a community of faith focused on the fellowship of Jesus Christ. Come join us Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. for Sunday school, 11 a.m. for worship, and be a part of our gathered community. If you can't be here in person, then join us virtually. We live stream our worship services, and so if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you can experience our worship on Facebook and YouTube as well. But most of all, connect yourself to a body of believers and be a part of God's work in this world. And I'll see you on Monday for another daily devotion.